In this lesson, we will take a look at soups, but in particular, one of my favorite of all time, la soupe au pistou. Now, pistou, in French, is the equivalent to the Italian pesto. And the main difference between the two is that pistou does not contain pine nuts. What I need to do first is I've got my beans. These are white beans, butter beans that have been soaked for overnight, for 24 hours, in cold water. It's very important that you use cold water. Straight in. And then just put the lid back on. Now, it's very important that you know that you must never put salt at this point in any legume for that matter, whether it's beans, lentils, anything that you have soaked in water. It can be chickpeas as well. If you're going to cook them in water, there must be absolutely no salt. Otherwise, the salt will prevent them from softening and cooking. They will take hours to cook. And really, we don't have time for this. Right, so let's get cranking with the veggies. These are beautiful veg. The only rule that really applies to soupe au pistou is that it needs to be cooked with spring to summer ingredients. You can't have winter vegetables in it. Soupe au pistou is a celebration of summer. So I've got my onions, my pot is on the heat. You want to slice the garlic, thin slices. I don't want to crush it. I want this to impart its flavor slowly. Board. Put these guys in. You can hear that little music. And I just want to sweat these guys. And basically all we're doing is we're softening them and they're going to become slightly translucent. And funnily enough, when that happens, at the same time, the garlic and the onion become more fragrant. I'm going to carry on getting my other veggies ready. So the courgette, the butternut, and the patty pan, and the fennel will pretty much almost cook all at the same time. In the south of France, where the soup comes from, you've got every village competes for the best soupe au pistou, simply because they've got a different terroir and they grow the vegetables slightly differently. So the tomatoes might be a bit sweeter, the courgette might be a bit rounder, and then they really say, no, our soupe au pistou in that area is by far the best. So it's like a bantering, fun kind of thing that people have. I love the smell of butternut when you cut it. It's got that most amazing, fresh garden smell. And then the fennel. So just slice the end bits like this. They can stay whole. Basically, apply the same technique to the fennel. You just want to cut little cubes. Look at that. There's something amazing about making a vegetable soup. It's so simple. It's such a good feeling when you eat it as well. You feel like it's cleansing your body. Right, so these tomatoes have been blanched. This is what it's called. Basically, what you do is with a small knife, you remove the little woody area where the tomato was once attached. And then on the opposite side, you cut a little cross. You then put your tomatoes in a bowl and you boil the kettle and pour boiling water over the tomatoes and let them sit for about 1 minute. Then you pour the hot water out, replace it with cold water. And what happens is basically when you burn yourself, it's exactly the same thing. The skin actually lifts off of the flesh. It's a terrible, painful experience for human beings, but tomatoes are handling it beautifully. So bottom line is I just want to peel the skin off those tomatoes. You can hear my little vegetables sizzling away. They're calling me. They say, Franck, please come to us. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut them in half. And then I'm going to remove the seeds. Tomato is such an important part of the soupe au pistou. And I'm taking the time and the trouble to show you this, hoping that you're not going to cheat and open a tin of whole peeled tomatoes. And if you're in a hurry, you shouldn't really be cooking soupe au pistou. Soupe au pistou is one of those labor of love. It's a beautiful soup that'll be on the corner of your stove for a good part of the afternoon. And it's going to, the smells are going to waft through the houses. In fact, if you want to sell your house, rather make soupe au pistou than bake a loaf of bread or a cup of coffee. Carry the board and put that straight to my pot. At that point, I'm going to put my bouquet garni. Now, this is a store-bought bouquet garni. Bouquet garni means it's a garnished bouquet. It's the flavors of the moment that will grow in your garden. Parsley, a bay leaf, a sprig of thyme, and basically what you do is with a little bit of roasting string, make a little bundle, tie it up together. I'm gonna add my chicken stock to this. So chicken stock, you could use vegetable stock as well for soup or pistou. The thing is, chicken stock has got a little bit more depth of flavor. If you want to make a quick and easy chicken stock, buy a chicken, use the biggest pot that you have, 1 peeled carrot, 1 peeled onion, maybe cut in half, 1 celery stalk, and you just put the chicken with cold water, completely covered with all those vegetables, a lid on, and you let it cook for an hour and a half. The chicken, obviously, will cook beyond the point of being edible, but remove the skin, pull all that flesh off and keep that. You can turn that into pies, sandwiches. I mean, there's so many things you can do with that. But the most important, you've got the stock. You've got that essence of the juice. So these guys have been in there for about half an hour. And then basically when you push, it's quite hot, be careful, but when you push, you can see that they give. There's a little bit of a give to them, which tells me there'll be another 15 minutes to be perfectly cooked. And I want that last 15 minutes to take place in that pot with the soup. So I'm gonna drain these. And then at that point, I'm gonna add some of the elbow macaroni. So you're looking at about 2 little handfuls. Now you can see what I'm talking about when I say to you this is a meal. Oh, beautiful. So soups are classified into 2 categories, the clear soups and the thick soup. So this, actually, at this point, is a clear soup. And if I was to crush it, to liquidize it, it would become a thick soup. Put the lid back on, and I'm going to make the pistou. Voila. Donc, at this point, I'm going to make the pistou, which is that beautiful basil paste. And what you need for that is one of those. This beautiful pestle and mortar has followed me everywhere in the world. I've had it for the last 20 years. And believe me, when you've got this in your suitcase, you get into trouble. So to do this, I'm going to grab some garlic first. And then I need to pound the garlic a little bit. Now to help this a little bit, I'm going to add some salt. Now, putting salt in here is going to allow me to add a little bit of gritty texture to that so that I can crush my garlic further. Okay, that looks perfect. Now, at this point, I'm going to want to put my basil leaves. There is almost an ancestral sensation that I'm getting of doing this. Something that has been done for centuries. If you do this in a food processor, it'll happen much quicker. And it'll be obviously more chopped and more perfect. But to me, it loses a little bit of its charm. Look at this, absolutely beautiful. You want to smell, when you smell Parmesan, it's almost fruity. It's got like a really, really, really rich, delicious smell. So grate that. I'm using the larger grater simply because I'm going to pound this and work this further in the pestle and mortar. First, I add some oil, and I want this to be quite a lot of oil. You basically want to see that paste starting to relax a little bit. So, right, I'm gonna add some of the cheese. So now the time has come. This texture is about right. This is what you're looking for. Ready to eat. Perfect. So pistou done, soup done. Now onto my long toast. I'm actually going to turn it sideways and cut thin toast in the lengths. Now this baguette was bought yesterday and it's been left out to dry and to go stale a little bit, which makes the making of the croutons a lot easier. Place those guys in the tray like this and into the oven. My oven is on grill. Just keep an eye on it. Basically, I just want them to toast, become nice and crunchy. Then I'll take them out. and I'll spread that little garlic mixture. So, I'm going to I'm going to scoop out the pesto. I'm going to leave this here for my soup, and I'm going to use this dirty bowl with another 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to get pounding again. And basically what I'm doing here, I'm doing the garlic oil that will go on top of my croutons. Right, I'm going to go and get my croutons. See, so the one side is now done, so I just need to turn them over. And then, before they go back in, put my spicy garlic oil. Right, these go back in the oven. So, the soup is ready. It's absolutely beautiful. If I take one of my beans and I push through, it gives like butter. So, this is actually ready. All I've got to do is put the pistou in the soup and serve. So let's finish this. You put the pistou in the soup and then gently stir it. The soup is going to turn slightly green, which is absolutely normal. And then I can take out that little bag, the little bouquet garni. Tasting this soup is one of the most sensual moments. And this is where you need to engage with all 5 of your senses. So basically, there's taste, the smell. I'm standing over it and I can really smell it. I look at the ingredients and I grab maybe a little bit of butternut just to get a feel, and I push it and I see that it's cooked. Contrary to most soups or stews that taste even better the next day. This one, because of the basil, is so strong. If you let it be overnight, it tends to become a bit overpowering. So I really recommend you put that pot straight on the table and have it as a family and gobble it all down. It must be gone. Everything must be finished to the very last bit. So don't let the fancy French name fool you. Cooking soup is fun, easy, and delicious, and often very healthy too. Remember, go through your course notes, take the quiz, practice those recipes, and I'll see you in the next lesson.